Alright guys, for this next video, again, we're still going to use some of the characteristics of inverse functions, and we're just going to go over problems 2 and 3. So you can put those problems in 2 and 3 in your notes. Alright, for problem 2, it's saying verify that g of x is the inverse of function of x. Whenever it says verify, it's basically implied that they are inverses, you just have to prove it. Now, in order to prove it, we're going to use the second characteristic that you took down in the video. And this is the second characteristic. You basically have to take the composition of each function and they have to equal x. Alright, if they don't equal x, then they're not going to be inverses of each other. Alright, so this is f of x and this is g of x. So if I do this first part right here, we're basically taking the whole equation for g of x and we're plugging into x for the f of x. So what we're really doing is we're taking this whole quantity and I'm going to plug it into this x and then we're going to evaluate it. So we're really finding the function of this g of x is this whole thing. So we're finding the function of this 5 over x and then plus 2. So as I said, we're taking this and we're going to plug it into the x for f of x. So when we do that, it's going to equal 5 over, and then this x I'm going to replace with this, which is 5 over x plus 2, and then don't forget to put this minus 2. Alright, so now when I evaluate this, you can see in the bottom, the 2 minus 2, this cancels out. So we're left with 5 over 5 divided by x. And whenever you divide by fractions, you can keep, change, flip. So if we keep, change, flip, I'm going to keep the top 5 the same. I'll leave it as 5 over 1. The division, I'm going to change the multiplication. And then what I'm dividing by, I'm going to flip this. So it's x over 5. Then you can see the 5's cross cancel, and we're just left with x. And that's what we want, because it's basically saying they're inverses, we have to verify it. Now the second part, we're going to have to do this. Now I'm going to take all of this, I'm going to take this entire fraction and plug it into this x. So let's put this in a different color, let's put this in red. So we're doing g of f of x, and the f of x is this whole thing, 5 over x minus 2. Okay, so again, I'm taking this, and I'm going to plug it into the x for the g. I'm going to plug it into here. Alright, so we're going to have this equals 5 over, and then this x I replace with the 5 over x minus 2. Sorry if it's a little sloppy. And then don't forget to add this 2. So we're going to add the 2. So this, I'm going to evaluate this part first. Okay, I'm going to keep, change, flip. So this is really keeping the top 5 the same. This I'm going to flip. So it's x minus 2 over 5. So times x minus 2 over 5. And then I'm going to add this at the end. Add the 2. So when you multiply these two fractions, you see these 5's cross cancel. So you're just left with x minus 2 for that fraction. Then you bring down this plus 2. These cancel, and it equals x. So we verified that they're inverses of each other. Alright, next one we're going to move down. We're going to kind of do the same thing. Okay. So this one, now they state it a little bit differently. They give us two functions and they ask us the question. They say, are they inverses of each other? Now I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to do the f of g of x and the g of f of x. And if they equal x for both, then we'll say yes, they're inverses. If they don't equal x, then we'll say no, they are not inverses. So let's just first start. Let's first do f of g of x. And let's see what this equals. So if I do this, I'm finding the function of, well, this g of x is this 1/3 x plus 2. And then I'm just taking this whole thing, I'm going to plug it into this x and see what happens. So this is going to equal 3 times x, which is being replaced by that. So it's 1/3 x plus 2. And then don't forget to subtract 2. So let's evaluate. Let's distribute this 3. So 3 times 1/3 x is x. 3 times positive 2 is what? Plus 6. And then I have this minus 2. So if I do the 6 minus 2, I get 4. I get x plus 4. All right, I can't simplify that any further. This does not equal x. So I don't even have to do this. I don't even have to do this g of f of x. I don't even have to do it, because since this doesn't equal x, I can say no, they're not inverses of each other. All right, so this video pretty much just went over using the f of g of x and g of f of x. They both have to equal x in order for those two functions to be inverses of each other.